Decorating open concept can be difficult. I mean, not for me, that's literally the point of making this video. Hey there, hi, welcome to the channel. I am Garrett, and in this video, we're talking all about one of the most asked topics on this channel, and that is how to decorate open concept. We've got a lot of topics to get through, so let's get into the video. The first thing I want to talk about is open concept, the realities of it in 2022. It's not the biggest trend anymore, and it was for a very long time. However, lots of people have homes that are open concept, and that is not going anywhere. But it's not always easy to decorate. I think one of the most important things to remember is that you are looking at pieces of a whole. If you can do some things and add some architectural elements to divide those spaces, that's always a great idea. But what's really wonderful about open concept is that you have great flow, and that's something you should always keep in mind and remember as you're decorating. Now, the first major question or problem people have and topic we are talking about is lighting, specifically choosing light fixtures. Typically with an open concept space, you have maybe a kitchen, a dining area, and a living area. Maybe you only have two of those three, but the rule still applies. When you are choosing lighting for an open concept space, I personally am not a fan of using all of the same light fixture or using light fixtures that are a part of a set, just because it feels a little bit matchy. It doesn't feel like it has a lot of character. For me, I want to see light fixtures that are either a similar style or have something in common with each other. A similar style might be all mid-century, all crystal, all very traditional or modern, something like that, whether that's industrial, farmhouse, or nautical. Look for light fixtures that have a similar style or theme to them because they will work together. Something else worth looking for if you don't like that idea is to look for light fixtures that have a common element. That might be the color of the hardware, or it could be the style of shade or glass on those fixtures. That will always make a connection to one another. I personally am a fan of mixing metals, so I always recommend you mix some different metals in a space, but with light fixtures, I typically like them to be the same metal throughout an open concept area. However, if you do decide to mix them, look for one that has both metal tones or colors you are bringing into the space, and then in those other areas, you can mix up the fixture hardware. But accessorize those spaces with the opposite hardware. That way you have a relationship, you have a nod back to the other tone of hardware you are using throughout your home. Something else that's important to remember with lighting is the height you're hanging it at. In my opinion, with an open concept space, you want the light fixtures to be hung relatively in line with each other. That way one doesn't feel low and one feels high, one feels heavy and one feels light. Hanging them somewhat in line with one another will definitely make a good visual barrier align, and it makes it feel like there is a relationship between those two fixtures. Unless you have a double height space, because obviously that rule wouldn't apply there. The next element in an open concept space that I think is necessary to have to create a connection and a relationship is actually all about the window treatments. Not everyone wants to have a full drape in their dining room or in their kitchen, but maybe you want that in your living room. My recommendation is to use a similar fabric, tone, or material on all of the window treatments. It immediately creates a relationship, even though it's not the same thing everywhere, even though it's not matchy. You can do a Roman blind in the dining space and in the kitchen, and then a full drape with a blind in the living area. That's something that will create convenience for you because you can then close those curtains and black out the space or eliminate the glare on the TV, but you don't have to have the pooling curtains in your kitchen and all of the fabric in the dining area that you may not want. It's a really great way of taking a useful item that you kind of have to have, making it work, making it enhance the beauty of your space. As a matter of fact, I think every architectural element, and for me that means anything affixed to the walls, should add to the overall architecture, to the flow of the space, and should all be consistent throughout. One of the most important things I think to keep in mind with an open concept space is actually where you are hanging your artwork. You know I'm a big fan of art, and I have a very, very specific way of hanging them, and that is either in line with each other or in line with an architectural element. I like that best, and I think it works really well in an open concept space because it creates a line, a visual line that flows throughout the space and connects each independent area to each other. That's something I think is really important and definitely elevates the space. I know we hear a lot of things about like hang your artwork this high or that high or from here, or your eyesight or whatever. I don't ever do that. I hang it all in line. If you want something that extends a little bit higher or lower, maybe look at collaging a few pieces. That's something that's always interesting and will definitely get you the correct scale of artwork you are looking for any space. The next element that I think is really important in an open concept space is actually rugs. Now, you know, I am not a fan of a rug over wall-to-wall carpet, and that's not the point of this. We are talking about creating a relationship or a connection through the colors of rugs. I love a vintage Turkish hand-woven moment, but you can get two of them that are completely different sizes that have those same tones and use them in the same area. That way they don't have that matchy feel, but they still bring that consistency throughout the space and a little bit of texture. However, if you are opting for a brand new rug, you can always find them in multiple sizes and use the same rug in two areas. I definitely recommend challenging yourself and mixing it up and doing two different rugs that are a similar tone. That way you immediately have that connection, that relationship back to one another without them feeling matchy. Now, I'm not a fan of the matchy vibe, and I always recommend you mix different interior design styles to get a little bit of that character in. I actually made a video all about how to mix interior design styles that will be linked in the description box down below, and I definitely recommend you check it out. While we're on the topic of my other videos and checking out my content, be sure you take a moment and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and turn on the bell notification to get notified every time I upload. After you have done that, let me know in the comment section down below. That way I can personally welcome you to the channel. For those of you that are actually renovating your open concept spaces, something I see on a regular basis that I cannot stand and I do not recommend you do is just upgrading half of the flooring. A lot of builders will put tile flooring in a kitchen, dining area, and then just kind of transition into carpet in a living room. And not everybody likes carpet. A lot of people want a solid surface, so they will replace the carpet with a wood floor. But for me, in an open concept space, that transition between two floorings just does not do it. It's not giving luxury. If you are in the process of renovating a space like that, I recommend splurging, investing, and taking the time to take out that tile to get that really luxurious, consistent feel and look throughout. Doing that will definitely elevate and upgrade the space, and it will also alleviate that kind of situation of having an area rug over wall-to-wall carpet, which in my opinion is just not the thing to do, and I think it's a tripping hazard. I know you will all go off in the comment section about it, but my opinion on that is not changing. That flooring, in my opinion, should be a wood floor because that's my personal preference. However, as long as it's the same type of flooring, although I don't really recommend putting carpet in a kitchen, I would say wood or tile is great. Do that, opt for that throughout the entire space to get that consistency and that really high-end luxury feel. Something else I think is important is actually your furniture layouts. And like I said, I don't love an area rug over wall-to-wall carpet, and that's typically something that's done to create the idea of coziness or to define a space. I think you can do that through a really great furniture layout, but also remember, this is an open concept space. We're not dealing with a formal living room and a formal dining room. We're dealing with one big space. So having that extreme division really is not necessary. But if you are after that division, what you definitely can do is use a furniture layout. For example, if you place a sofa with its back facing to the kitchen dining room, it is going to feel divided. That serves as a visual and physical barrier that will then make the two spaces feel different. So if you are in the position where you are considering an area rug over carpet and you're saying, Garrett, is it GarrettLeChic approved? It's not. Now, I of course always love a wood floor or a tile floor with an area rug, creating a beautiful furniture arrangement. A lot of times designers recommend you put all of the furniture on the rug. I feel like you can put 75% of the furniture on the rug, 75% of the visual weight of that furniture on that rug, because it creates a little bit more character, a little bit more interest. And of course, having an area rug in a space like that that has one type of flooring throughout will create a little bit of separation and a little bit of formality that you might want in your open concept space. Another big question I get asked about open concept spaces is paint. Transitioning paint colors, what color to paint them. And while I can't specifically say this is the one paint color you have to use because each space is different and the lighting changes things, but What I can say is that when I transition paint, I usually almost always do it for one room or add a door frame, because I just don't love to see a transition from one color to another on drywall or on a corner. I think the best place to transition a paint color is on an inside corner, because it just feels a little bit more natural. Also transition a paint color on an outside corner if that's what you have. Something I really love when I see an open concept space that has some sort of column or pillar in that space is when those are painted in an accent. I think that's really fun, and it creates this really visually interesting barrier. It challenges the perspective you have while looking at it, so I think that's always something fun. If you have two of these column-like structures with a recess between them, that's a great place to paint an accent color or an accent wall of some sort. I think that can be really fun and is worth considering if you are interested in an accent wall in your open concept space. It can also be a really great place to build in cabinetry or some sort of built-in that is definitely going to be luxurious. The next thing I think is really important when you are furnishing an open concept space is actually having that connection, that relationship to each side or independent area of the space. I like to do that specifically through wood tones, but that's just because I like wood furniture. So if you don't, do that through a color, a paint, or a fabric of some sort. But what I'm basically saying is have a nod to whatever that tone is in the other space. So if you have a beautiful wood dining table, maybe get a wood media console or coffee table. That way there is kind of that one little connection that, oh wait, look it, that's similar. It's the same wood tone. It doesn't have to be a matching piece, and I definitely don't recommend you go out and get the matching living room and dining room set, but having a little nod back to that wood tone in another area immediately makes it feel like you thought it through, there's a connection there, and they're definitely sisters, maybe they're best friends, maybe they're cousins. They're not twins, and I love that. I think having a little bit of distinction between two spaces is always really great. You can do that through a fabric option. Maybe on your dining chairs, you do a cream colored upholstery, but then maybe you have cream accent pillows or a cream throw blanket, a cream rug or something like that in another area. What you can also do that's really a designer technique is pull a color from your kitchen finishes. If you have a granite or a marble countertop, pull one of the tones out of that and bring it into another area. That way you have connection to the kitchen, to the living, to the dining area, whatever spaces you have in that open concept area, have a really good flow and relationship between them without feeling matchy. The next way to create a lot of great connection in an open concept space is actually by accessorizing in a similar way. There's a number of ways, ideas, materials you can use to accessorize. So I'm not gonna dive too deep into that, but what I will say is stick with the same styling you use throughout the space. If you like that more symmetrical, traditional style of design, do that everywhere throughout the space. That way it feels like it is styled the same way. And if you like a more modern, balanced, or asymmetric styling in your accessories and decor, do that throughout the space. Something else worth considering, if you are a cutting board collector and you have a lot of cutting boards in the kitchen area, add a wood tone or a piece that's that same tone, that same material in another way. Maybe that's a fruit wood bowl or some sort of accent chair that has a similar rustic wood tone. Doing something like that also creates that connection in a good way. You want to have those connections in 2, 3, 4 ways and different ideas and materials. That way they feel like they are a part of the whole without feeling matchy, overcrowded, overcluttered, overdone, or overthought. You want it to feel natural. With an open concept space, they tend to be larger areas that we as people feel we need to fill. Don't be the person that stuffs or crams a furniture piece into every corner, because that negative space means the area, the room feels a lot lighter, a lot more breathable, airy, if you will, because it's a little bit more open. When you see baseboard, when you see more flooring, the space feels larger, more open, and bigger, which is always more luxurious. The next thing I think is really important to keep in mind with an open concept space is to entice the senses, and not just visually, not just with the texture and feeling of the space, but Also with the scent. I've talked about this a number of times that I like a very fresh and clean scent. And hey, throw open the windows if the weather is permitting. Like in the summer when it's 100 degrees, you couldn't pay me to open those windows because my AC bill is already off the chain. But letting in some fresh air is great. If you are that person that likes to have a candle, a scent, a scented moment in your space, love that for you, but let's stick to that one scent. Have a signature in the space, have multiple candles or whatever you need. Actually, just get a really good quality candle from a small business and they usually will provide more than enough scent for one large area. However, you don't want to overwhelm the space by having multiple scents. In that open concept area, the kitchen doesn't need a scent, the dining room doesn't need a scent, and the living room doesn't need a separate scent. We can have one scent throughout the space that really, really works beautifully. Maybe you're not that fragrance, that candle person. Maybe you like an incense. Hey, I like a space that is fresh and clean and has some fresh flowers. Do the two arrangements, mix them up a little bit. Do that one really beautiful, different flower arrangement, you know, like a beautiful mix of florals. And then on the coffee table, do some roses. You know, keep it simple, but keep it fresh feeling. That I think always makes an open concept space feel connected, feel beautiful, feel fresh and light, and definitely is something that you have to have in any and every home, in any and every space, especially an open concept one. The entire point of an open concept space is for it to feel connected and feel open, but you don't want it to feel overcrowded or cluttered, but you don't also want it to feel empty or like an office space, which these areas, these large rooms can often feel cavernous. Don't be intimidated by them and take your time when decorating because they can be the most beautiful spaces in any and every home. Well, there you have it everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. I want to hear from my subscribers. Share with me one piece of interior design advice or something you have done in an open concept space that you love and share with us because I need to know, we need to know, help everyone out. And while you are at it, give this video a like. I also know that you know someone that they have an open concept space and honey, they are struggling to get it right and get it correct and get it GarrettLeChic approved. Share this video with them because friends help friends. And I will see you in the next one.